It's time to go over the fantasy team recap for the Atlanta Falcons. In this video, we're going to go over all the fantasy relevant players on this team in 2022. Let's start at the quarterback position with Marcus Mariota, where he had 300 attempts, going 61.3% completion percentage for 2,219 yards, which was good enough for 28th in the league in the 13 games that he did play. He had 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He also had 85 rushes for 438 yards, which was good for 6th best in all quarterbacks in the 13 games that he played, and he ended up with 4 touchdowns. Mariota never really got into a groove. You wasn't really ever able to trust him when he did start. He only had a couple of good streamable matchups. Other than that, he really just lost his job to Desmond Ridder. Speaking of Ridder had 115 attempts at 63.5% completion percentage for 708 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He also had 16 rushes for 64 yards and 0 touchdowns. He was absolutely completely butt cheeks until the last game in week 18 against a weakened Bucks team where he had 2 touchdowns. The Bucks team was just looking to kind of rest a lot of their players. Even though they did start with their starters, they didn't end with their starters, and it was just kind of a team that wasn't really the Bucks team, but it gave him the 2 touchdowns. I mean, just looking at Ridder, I'm not really sure what he has to offer, but in 2023, it could be a turning point type of year for him. Will the Falcons draft another quarterback, or are they going to give Ridder the reins? Next, let's go over the running back position and talk about Cordell Patterson. After a strong start of the season, Patterson completely fell off after allowing Tyler Allgeier to eventually take over. Before Patterson's injury, he was seeing 53% of the snaps. By the end of the season, he dropped all the way down to 36% of the snaps. This is Allgeier's team now. Last season, Patterson had an outlier type of season. His time as a consistent fantasy relevant player is over. He had 144 yards rushing for 695 yards, 8 touchdowns, which the rushing yards in the 13 games he played ranked him 34th, and he had 21 receptions for 122 yards and 0 touchdowns. Now going over Tyler Allgeier, he was slowly but surely really just chipping away until he became the main guy for this offense. After the bye week, Allgeier switched gears and started to dominate in week 15 and beyond. He looks like the real deal. He ended up with 210 rushes for 1,035 yards and 3 touchdowns to go along with 16 receptions for 139 yards and 1 touchdown. Moving along to the wide receivers, we're going to go ahead and talk about Drake London. London was absolutely awesome in his rookie campaign. He played 78% of the snaps. London was a consistent producer for your fantasy team pretty much all year round. He ended up having 72 receptions for 866 yards and 4 touchdowns. The receiving yards in 17 games that he played ranked him 28th among wide receivers. This can only get improved with better quarterback play. Another wide receiver we can talk about, Olamide Zaccheaus. Overall, it was just an underwhelming season all season for this guy. He was never even really considered a flex play. Until this offense can really improve, Zaccheaus he's just going to be irrelevant. He had 40 receptions for 533 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now let's go ahead and talk about another disappointing type of tight end, and we're going to talk about Kyle Pitts. Going from 1,000 yards receiving and just 350 is just awful. And I know some will say, but Bayou, he was hurt. Well, he played 10 games, and only twice did he even achieve the 80 receiving yard mark. This just won't get it done. He had 28 receptions for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns. He ranked 30th in the 10 games that he actually did play. In summary, I'm going to go over my pass and my fails for this team in 2022. I would say Marcus Mariota was a fail. Desmond Ridder was a fail. Cordell Patterson was definitely a fail. Tyler Allgeier was a pass. Drake London was a pass. Olamide Zaccheaus, a fail. And Kyle Pitts is a fail. Talking about the 2 guys here that I rated as a pass, we have Tyler Allgeier and Drake London. Both these guys were rookies coming in. They had a lot of hope around them, especially Drake London being a very high first-round pick. We'll talk about Tyler Allgeier first. He came in, he was behind Cordell Patterson. A lot of people realized by the end of the season Allgeier would be the good running back run for this team, but we didn't know that he was going to be dominating the way he did. He looked really good. He was shifty. He hit the holes really, really nice. He wasn't really a good receiving target before either Mariota or Ritter, but he ended up running very, very well. He eclipsed the 1,000 yards rushing for his season, and going over to Drake London, he may not have gotten to the 1,000-yard mark, but he showed a lot of good flashes. He played in all 17 games. He stayed relatively healthy. Drake London's somebody that I can see taking a big step if either Ritter takes a big step or if they get another quarterback into this offense who can really provide for that wide receiver spot. I want to say thank you guys for watching that video. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And if you guys want to see my fantasy team recap for the Arizona Cardinals, just click here. It's a good video. We'll see you guys next time.